Hey everyone, welcome to Wrestle Recap. My name's Michelle Tate.
Hello, I'm Justin Tate.
And goodness, I didn't think the show was going to happen today because we have had some major technical issues. But guess what? We are the only brother-sister duo that takes you on the journey of wrestling throughout the decades.
And we do it on the internet, which always works.
Thank God, like one of us is a young millennial and could figure this out. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but we are great. We're good. Justin, what do we got going on in the current wrestling world? I know that John Moxley knocked out Willow last night. He dropped her. That was shocking.
Yeah, kind of seems like a weird hobby to have. Renee, just saying, if you need to get out, you have friends. If you don't want to be DDT'd in the middle of your living room. But no, coming up, we have AEW Dynasty. In fact, when this releases, it'll be just a few hours before Dynasty goes live on pay-per-view. Everybody really talking mainly about the main event match for the AEW Championship, champion John Moxley against Swerve Strickland. I'm asking you now, I'm putting you on the spot. Who you got?
Oh, hell. Gun to my head, I'm going to say Swerve, but it will not surprise me if they keep it on John Moxley just to keep that heel heat going even more, even though I'm not sure if that's heel heat or go away heat. But the only reason I would say that they would keep it on John Moxley is if they wanted Darby to be the one to take it from him. And supposedly, I just heard this on, I think it was either the AEW post show on Fightful or maybe it was the Hump, but they said that Darby was expected to be back by now and he's just not. So maybe that threw a kink in things.
Move on without him. Get it on Swerve. Let Moxley go to bed.
Yep, pretty much. And then other than that, we just still got that WrestleMania build up, but that's about it.
Yeah, let's head on into today's show.
Oh, man. It's a fun one, everybody. But before we do a dang thing, we got to get in that time machine. So let's go. Wow.
In here that I can just give like one poof whenever the machine happens.
I like going back in time because there's no internet that can give me issues. We'd be recording this on a tape recorder or something else.
Yeah, right. Just sending the tape back and forth to comment on each other. It'd be really great.
Yes. And then also, I just got to say, did you know that Jim Carrey does an amazing Pee Wee Herman impersonation?
I feel like I've seen him do it. He did it on like In Living Color or something back in the day.
I just saw a video yesterday, and of course, hearing Pee Wee in our time machine, that's what I had to think of and meant to send it to you. But anyway, Justin, we are talking about today, WCW Starrcade 1990. So this was held on December 16th in 1990, and the venue, it was at the Kill or Auditorium in St. Louis, Missouri, but it was demolished in 1992, just 2 years later. So hope there wasn't any like asbestos or black mold in there infecting wrestlers or something.
You just know that there was just tons of just in all that building material.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, our attendance was about 7,200. Not bad, not bad. And on commentary, again, we have Jim Ross and Paul E. Dangerously, which I'm really starting to dig Paul over there on commentary. It's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, he's a lot of fun out there, and it just gets better and better as we go along.
Yes. Well, the number one song in the U.S. on this day was a little disappointing because I read it and I thought it was one song, but then it's not. So I'm just going to play it for you, then I'll talk about it. Because I love you, and I'll do anything. Okay. So this song is Because I Love You, in parentheses, the Postman song by Stevie B. Now, do you know this song?
It sounds so familiar, but like I couldn't place it off the top of my head.
Well, number one, I don't know why it's officially, has called the Postman song. I mean, that's like in the title too, because I don't know anything about Postman, but I thought it was going to be, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Hey. And I got real upset when it was that song that I didn't know.
I think you're about 30 years too late on that one.
Am I? I have no, see, I know that song mostly from Sister Act, and that was in the early 90s, so I thought it was just a hip and upcoming song in the 90s, I guess. Well, Justin, let's get into the background of this amazing wink wink Starrcade 1990.
That is a word for it. It's not usually used with this show, but it is a word. Although this was the 8th Starrcade event, this is the final time it would be promoted under the NWA banner. as WCW will split from the NWA very soon, which is a pretty monumental deal in wrestling history. Earlier this year, 1990, legendary wrestler Pat O'Connor died. And so the tag team tournament on this show was in his honor, featuring 8 tag teams in a single elimination tournament, each team being from a different country around the world. One night tournaments, they could be hit or miss. We'll see how this one goes. And there was one dark match for the live crowd before the show where Bill Irwin defeated TC Carter. And if you ask me who TC Carter is, I will disconnect right now and pretend it was an accident.
I was about to say, I was like, who the hell is TC Carter? But before we go any further, we need some
wrestle stats.
Ooh, them sweet wrestle stats. Well, the average age of wrestlers on this pay-per-view is 33 years old. The youngest, Norman Smiley, at 25. And the oldest, Mr. Saito, aka Masa Saito, at 48 years old. Now, on the show, there are 36 wrestlers in matches. Out of those, 26 are still alive today. That's a percentage of just over 72%. And here's the big number. Out of the 248 wrestlers we have covered here on Wrestle Recap, 139 of them are still alive today for a percentage of 56.04%.
Man, it's gonna be crazy when we get to the point where you're like, out of the 1,244 wrestlers we've covered, and I'll be like, whoa, because I don't even feel like we've covered 248 so far, but apparently we have.
Well, and we don't have a song for if it ever dips below 50%, which, yeah.
I keep saying we need to adjust the percentage so that I can come up with a song, because
maybe if it goes up, then we're still standing. But if it goes down the next week, then we play, I don't know, Everybody Hurts or something. I don't know.
Everybody Hurts. That's funny.
Well, let's get into the beginning of this show. When you turn it on your Peacock machine, on your old cathode ray tube TV, we see a beautiful blue, pink, and vaporwave yumminess computer-generated sky. Images of the wrestlers on tonight's show in all these weird shapes, kind of like the Star Trek emblem. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a thing.
I do know, and now it makes sense why that was there. But
yeah, we then go to arena shots and fireworks as we get a full look at the entire arena. The ring has a standard canvas with red, yellow, and red ropes. Kind of an interesting choice. The tilted WCW is on the stage, surrounded by stars. It's like an arcade of stars, almost like a Starrcade.
Whoa. Wow. I might talk about those stars later, but I'm not going to talk about it until Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
Jim Ross and Paulie dangerously welcome us before tossing things to ring announcer Gary Michael Capetta, who then introduces legendary St. Louis wrestling promoter Sam Mushnick. And Sam spends about 10 seconds speaking into a mic that's not working. And then after a little bit, they kind of get it together and he starts to fade in. And we hear enough to know that he worked in this very auditorium for 37 years and that he thanks Ted Turner and WCW for letting him be here tonight. Thank you, Sam. Oh, by the way, the pre-show, it's not over. It's still going. The color guard appears on the stage as Gary Michael Capetta asks us to rise for the national anthem. However, by the time everybody is asked to stand, the anthem is literally halfway done. We're already to the "And the Rockets" and the red glare and all that. Finally, we go to our first match, which is a singles match between Beautiful Bobby and the Z-Man. Now, Beautiful Bobby, you might be saying, who in the world is that? New guy. Let's hear about him. No. This is Bobby Eaton, formerly of the Midnight Express. Last saw him on Halloween Havoc 1990, and he's 32 years old here. Also 32 years old, Z-Man, the former Tom Zink. We last saw him on Great American Bash 1990. So let's get into the match.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it, but this is the first time we've seen Bobby Eaton's singles career, after Stan Lane and Jim Cornette left to WCW to form Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad to see Bobby walking out on his own here. I like Bobby Eaton so much. To just see him walking out there without Stan Lane and Cornette. It's like, aw.
I know. I really felt bad for him too. And he just seems incomplete.
I know.
Yeah. Well, we're back to the dark blue canvas after that maroon monstrosity that we had last week, or last show rather. And so
oddly, it would have fit a little bit better here, but WCW being a WCW.
Well, starting for some reason on this show, they decide to start doing a weird stats card for every wrestler or tag team before their match. And all I could think of is like, they're stepping on your wrestle stats toes, Justin.
I'm telling you, they snuck in our time machine when we were doing the last show and came here and like, what is this Twitter thing? And what are these wrestle stats? Yeah, they bring up a full screen graphic for each guy with height, weight, hometown, a little description of why we should care about them. I actually think this is a really good idea, like especially if you think there's a lot of new fans watching.
Yeah, and I guess it was a good idea for this particular show because there's a lot of people we don't know. But I could see if you watch it week after week or, you're a dedicated fan, those could get kind of annoying unless they came up with like a funny fact each time, like something
Right? Like,
new.
like back when Matt Hardy was doing the version 1.0 thing in like the early 2000s, and it'd have like Matt facts on there to be like,
Yeah.
fact, Matt Hardy hates mustard, stuff like that.
Who hates mustard? Mustard's awesome.
Absolute communists.
Absolutely. Which we have on this show. No, I'm just kidding. We do know that Z-Man is a bachelor. So maybe you need a dating section on Wrestle Stats.
Oh, I can just see it now. All the neckbeards follow me. They say Becky Lynch is married, but I don't think it's going well.
They think they have there's that weird scammer that's like been in a relationship with Alexa Bliss for years, and she's told him like many times, don't send me money, like we're not together. And I'm like, bro, she's married to Ryan Cabrera. I don't think she wants you.
Yeah. If we watched that boy band documentary this past week, really interesting stuff.
Was Ryan Cabrera on there?
No, but I mean, a lot of the guys on there had hair like he used to. So
That's true. 2004 was a great year, but it says the Z-Man is on a 35 win streak. And like, am I on crack? Or didn't he lose to Vader on like our last WCW show?
It's been a busy month for old Z-Man. Every house show, every TV tape. I don't know how he got to 35, but there it is.
It's like he was wrestling his kids at night and be like, bam, pinned you. Right. There's one.
Yeah, that one counts. Well, hey, we got Goldberg up to like 180 something. So, it's fine.
It's fine. Well, they announced that Ric Flair has withdrawn himself from his match later in the night and that Barry Windham will replace him. Interesting.
That's kind of odd. That's why would Ric Flair? I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, according to Paul Heyman, Bobby's partner, Mr. Beautiful Bobby, started dating Yoko Ono. And that is so funny considering like, Stan left because of Jim Cornette and convinced him to go. Like, I was like, good reference, Paul Heyman. That was pretty good.
Yeah. And I think Jim Cornette actually sings like Yoko Ono. So that's doubly good,
I didn't realize she sang until recently.
Oh, well, that's technically, yes.
Right.
But yeah. Interesting to watch this match, really, because Z-Man is clearly supposed to be the good guy. I think Bobby's getting more cheers from the crowd here.
Yeah, I was kind of confused about that because I didn't really know if Bobby was going to be, heel or whatever. And I know that Z-Man technically had 35 wins, so that's kind of an obvious babyface thing. But yeah, you're right. They were way behind Bobby. Maybe they felt sorry for him too. They were sad too.
Yeah. Well, when Z-Man dives over the top onto Bobby, we see another interesting quirk about the setup here. So the past few shows we've talked about it, the entrance aisle has been an elevated platform, right? That's the same height as the ring apron.
Right.
But here, the aisle is actually higher than the ring apron. And then there's like a quick slant down before the final 5 or 6 feet is even with the ring. And landing on that, as some guys did tonight, must have sucked.
I just don't know who thought that was a good idea because landing on that would suck. And it's a trip hazard.
Yeah, it's almost like they said, you remember them U-Haul ramps that we had on the entrance a few years ago? Hey, we can just cut them down, right?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I don't know what the point of that was because aesthetically it did nothing. If anything, it was terrible. Well, JR called Paul a psycho ceramic. And I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And he goes, a crock pot, not a crock pot, a crack pot. And I was like, psycho ceramic crack pot. Oh,
but must be some of that Oklahoma humor.
I guess so. But he says that Paul was never a ref and he doesn't know the rules. And I don't know, brother. Like, it's been a show or two. I don't think I like their blatant we hate each other dynamic. What do you think about it?
I think, I mean, I liked Gorilla and Jesse. And, theirs was like they would disagree. They would get under each other's skin. They would dig at each other, but it wasn't like just battling with each other,
Yeah,
right?
it was
And then
banter.
Right. And then, as we'll see coming up very soon on WWF pay per views, Gorilla and Bobby Heenan, which it just, they're best friends in real life, but in the commentary booth, it's that same thing. So JR and Paul just kind of yelling at each other kind of gets old.
It really does, and I'll probably bring it up again later with actual quotes, but yes.
Well, in addition to the stats that they're showing on screen, JR seems to be explaining things to the at-home crowd in a way that would probably help somebody who is new to wrestling or new to these guys or new to the rules. And I really like this. And I appreciate it even today when we see it, when it happens. Michael Cole tends to do it a lot on the pay-per-views because he knows there's probably a lot more casual fans watching those.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense because it's, oh, I gotta watch WrestleMania. Well, do you want to hang out? Well, you can come watch with me. And
Right,
people,
exactly.
they'll watch a pay-per-view. That's at least in my experience. But, the interwebs, they say that Z-Man was obviously throwing this match away and that Bobby did a great job with what he had. But I didn't really catch that. Did you?
That never even entered my mind and just looked like they were having a match.
Right. And it wasn't this fantastic match, but I didn't think that, Z-Man was throwing it out the window, but the crowd didn't seem happy with the ending. It was just strange all around because they were cheering for Bobby, but then they didn't seem happy wow. They didn't seem happy that he won.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean they were behind him and it was almost like the women and kids were behind Z-Man and the guys were behind Bobby. Is how it felt at times. But either way, Beautiful Bobby wins the match in 8 minutes, 45 seconds. Any final thoughts on this match?
It was an opener.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
That's about it. Well, on the interview stage is Tony Schiavone.
Why? Why does Tony look different from show to show? Like he looks like a different person every show.
Well, it's just like the Ultimate Warrior and Texas Tornado. Maybe there's more than one Tony.
Oh my gosh. I was actually watching AEW Dynamite and they were super zoomed in on Tony's face. And I was just looking, I'm like, that really is the same guy. He's just older.
yeah, that's him. Well, plus on the last show we watched, he wasn't there. The Phantom of the Opera was there.
Oh,
so
right.
that changes things. But Tony introduces legendary wrestler Dick the Bruiser, who will be the special guest referees for tonight's main event. Dick says that he is the champion of cage matches and that he's even heard that there's more than one Black Scorpion here tonight. Yeah, way to spoil the end of the show, Dick.
For real? I was like, wait a minute.
you dick. Anyway, he's going to make sure that Sting gets a fair shake tonight and that there will be a winner. All of this said in a voice that sounds like Dick is pooping himself.
Oh God, he was so strained. He was like Ultimate Warrior. I'm like, bro, you can relax your throat.
Yeah, right. A little chloroseptic there, huh? Now the tag team tournament trophy is being carried down the aisle and it is huge, like 7 or 8 feet tall. It takes 2 referees to carry it down. Then we get the Parade of Nations. What is that? We'll find out. It's attractive women carrying down the flag of each country competing in the tournament tonight. The Soviet Union got booed the worst, and that poor woman.
Oh, gosh, I know. Felt bad for her.
We then get a look at the tournament bracket, and it's filled with a bunch of teams who don't work for WCW, as well as the Steiner brothers, who do work for WCW and who are from the U.S. How about that? Well, to the next match.
Well, Justin, this is the first round in our tag team tournament, and it is Colonel DeClerc and Sergeant Kruger versus the Steiner brothers. Yeah. And what country were they again?
These guys were supposedly South Africa.
South Africa. Okay, I thought that, but I didn't want to say it. But obviously, okay, precursor to the show, a lot of these guys, first time we've seen them, not going to see them again, but we're going to talk about them anyway because they were monumental on this pay-per-view. So Colonel DeClerc, so he was born September 1st, 1953, and he died at the kind of young age at 49 in 2002. So he's 37 on this pay-per-view, a little older up there. And the last pay-per-view we will see him wrestle on is random WCW Bash at the Beach 1999. So kind of surprised he sticks around that long, considering, the rest of the talent on this show. But his real name is Ted Petty. And I'm like, you Tom Petty's brother? You a
This was the
heartbreaker?
last dance with Sergeant Kruger.
And he would go on to greater fame as Rocco Rock, one half of the tag team Public Enemy. But
Which blew my mind.
Did it?
I read that and I was like, I didn't know that. And even watching the show, it never hit me. Oh, yeah, that is Rocco Rock. I just, it's crazy.
Well, and plus, I mean, they look so different and they change their look, especially from like 80s to 90s.
Right.
Like there are some guys, like look at Sting. You would never think. Yeah. So eventually he became a 4-time ECW tag team champion and a 1-time WCW tag team champion. However, he's got Sergeant Kruger with him. And guess what? We have no idea when he was born because there's no information about this man. I'm going to guess probably around the same. I'm just going to go around and say like 1955. I'll go with that.
Sure.
Don't aggregate this information. And we have no idea how old he is on this pay-per-view or else we could do the math. But we will see him wrestle for the last time on WWF WrestleMania 17, better known as Rey Apollo. What?
Yeah. So we'll get into that whole thing very shortly because my mind is still messed up.
Well, we all know the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott Steiner. They were last on WCW Halloween Havoc 1990, and they are still rocking in those upper 20s, 28. Oh, what a great age. I wish I could have frozen at like 28 because I'm like, I know enough. My skin is smooth, but I'm not like 21.
Yeah.
Let's get into the match.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that the Steiners are in this tournament. Mm-hmm. They're entering to the national anthem. They're from the US and they're in the first match, giving them as much time as possible between matches if they win here. Okay.
Yep. Is this whole like Colonel Sergeant thing to compete with Sergeant Slaughter?
I got gas for it, D-Car, and I played D-Clerk.
It's so weird to me how they create like these identical characters, as we will see later as well. But that's even happening today. I've been noticing this like this week on Raw. Logan Paul was like, "You poors, y'all are all poor," and I'm like, "Okay, MJF." Like, and it's weird that it happens at the same time, like even all these years later.
Yeah, it's and a lot of people make big issue now of, they said the other company's name on their show. It's like, so what?
It's like Vince was the only one that cared about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oi. Well, fun fact from Reddit, Sergeant Kruger was actually the second Doink the Clown. And I'm guessing you already knew that because you know everything. So I'm just telling our wrestlers. Yeah, that's the new name for our followers. Do you like it?
Our wrestlers?
Yes. I like it.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I second guessed myself. Okay. There was a Rey Apollo and a Phil Apollo. And I originally made a note that this was the second Doink, but then I thought, wait, no, that's Phil Apollo. I should just trust my thoughts.
Phil Apollo. That's a fun thing to say. Yeah. But dude, honestly, I don't even know which Doink was which. Like, I didn't even know there were two Doinks until this podcast. I just thought it was the same.
You remember Matt Bourne, who we saw like way back. He was the first one when Doink was a bad guy. And then around the time Doink turned into a good guy, Matt Bourne left the company and it became Ray Phil Apollo.
But when you're 6 years old, they look exactly the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Rick Steiner in the black and white striped singlet, looking like he raided Danny Davis's fabric closet. You notice that?
I didn't think about that, but now that you say it, it's pretty funny.
The black and white up and down stripes. He's like saying, "Hey, Danny, you're not wrestling anymore. You're a referee again. Come on, help me out."
I was just thinking he was gaining some weight and he wanted the vertical stripes to help out or something.
Rick
That's
Steiner.
What we do. It's weird that we're watching this show right during March Madness, since it's kind of the same bracket setup and it's like seeds from different countries battling each other. But like, it's weird, Justin. I swear the shows we watch at the time that we cover them, they line up perfectly with things happening in 2025 sometimes. Like, I swear the Matrix is collapsing. I yell that so many times in life. I'm like, Matrix.
Yeah. I mean, it's very odd, but wrestling is everywhere.
It really is. But brother, this was basically a squash match. I think Scott kind of won on a 2 count, but even the ref was just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Because the Steiner brothers won this in 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And again, I kind of question that win, but whatever. What do you think of this match that was so horribly unpredictable? I was just on my toes.
Yeah, and what is this the one that there was also the moment in there where a guy, one of the South African guys, took a dive to the outside and like Rick Steiner tried to catch him, but just caught his legs. So the guy's like head brushed the ground and Rick Steiner just
God.
smiled. And it was like,
Yes.
this is awful. I'm glad this is only 2 minutes long. But the Steiners advance.
They do, and absolutely nothing happened after this match. And we go straight into the next one.
Yes, indeed. It is another first round match in the tag team tournament. Chris Adams and Norman Smiley versus Conan and Rey Mysterio. We've never seen any of these guys on pay-per-view before, so we got a little background to do here. Let's start with Chris Adams, Gentleman Chris Adams, as they call him. Born February 10th, 1955. Unfortunately died October 7th, 2001 at just the age of 46 years old. On this show, he's 35, and the last time we'll see him wrestle on pay-per-view is WCW World War III in 1998. Real name, of course, Christopher Adams. Not only is he the guy who's credited with creating the super kick, which he used in this match, but also the man who trained Stone Cold Steve Austin in Dallas. Can you believe that?
I think that's more impressive than creating the super kick.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, his career was plagued with legal and drug issues, from headbutting and punching a flight attendant to spending a year on probation for beating his wife. And then eventually he was fatally shot by a friend during a dispute at Adams' home in Waxahachie, Texas.
A friend doesn't shoot you. A friend.
The friend got off with no charges. It was considered self-defense.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
in Waxahachie, of all places.
Waxahachie, that's right. Well, let's go to his partner, Norman Smiley, Screamin' Norman Smiley, as he would later be called. Born February 28th, 1965. He's now 60 years old, but on this pay-per-view, he was a young 25. The last pay-per-view we're going to see him wrestle on is WCW Slamboree 2000. Real name, Norman Anthony Smiley. That's his real last name. He got started wrestling in Florida, where he was known as Black Magic. And since its inception and to this day, works as a trainer for NXT. You can actually see him on footage. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Good for him.
Well, let's get to the other team. On the other side of the ring, we start with Conan.
Oh my gosh, Justin, is this the Conan?
As in the Barbarian or the wrestler?
The wrestler that I remember on all the games.
Yes, this is Conan, born January 6, 1964. He's 61 years old today. On this pay-per-view, he's 26. We will see him pretty much through the life of WCW. His last pay-per-view was Greed, 2001. Real name, Charles Ashenoff. He got his start in Mexico just 2 years before this show. These days, as you might know, he's a podcaster, as well as the guy who kind of helps facilitate Mexican wrestlers traveling to the U.S. and working in various promotions, namely AEW. He helps bring a lot of guys into there. And in real life, he is the godfather of Dominic Mysterio. Weird, huh?
So Dominic has his dad, his godfather, and then his real dad, Eddie Guerrero. That's kind of weird. Guerrero.
Yeah, no, that's I don't think anybody can claim all three of those. But finally rounding this out is Rey Mysterio. Not that one. Not that one. Calm down.
I know.
Born January 8th, 1958, died December 20th, 2024. So just like a few months ago at the age of 66. He was 32 years old on this pay-per-view, and this is the only pay-per-view that we're going to see him on. Real name, Miguel Angel Lopez Diaz. Now, his son also became a wrestler known as El Hijo de Rey Mysterio. However, his nephew came to greater fame, later known as Rey Mysterio Jr., now known as WWE Hall of Famer and father of Dominic, Rey Mysterio. And of special interest to Michelle, this Rey Mysterio was featured in the horror film El Mascarado Massacre, also known as WrestleManiac here in the States.
I am 100% adding that to my movie list. I hope it's on Shudder.
It might be on Shudder, and if it's not on there, it might be on VHS. Let's get into the match here. Boy, Gary Michael Capetta's papers are messy. Did you notice that? They have writing all over them and it's scratched out and rewritten. It's like a physical version of Rick Knox's brain.
If I were quick enough, I'd come up with an excellent Rick Knox joke, but I'm not that quick.
That's okay. We've had a long day trying to figure out how to get on the air here. This is when Conan was still in a mask. And but we have a couple production botches here. The Chiron on the entrance lists Rey Mysterio as Rey Mysteric with a C. So that's okay. Things happen. Let's go to the stats. No, it's spelled the same way on there, Rey Mysteric. But you know what? At least JR is professional enough to nope. He pronounced it Rey Mysteric. Damn it. Fortunately, somebody in his headset corrected him quickly.
So I caught the spelling errors, but didn't realize that JR said that. But if you think about it, it's like their O didn't work. And so they're like, a C looks the most, closest to an O. So
wait a minute. Remember that old WCW sign that said, wow?
Exactly.
We're on to something here.
Yes, same concept.
Yes. Well, Rey's mask reminded me of current AEW star Beast Mortos. Am I wrong?
No, you are correct. And that was another reason why with Conan, I was like, is it the same one? Because I couldn't see his face. So
Right. Yeah. Well, and then Conan's like jack physique and back acne remind me of a masked Hercules.
His back knee reminded me of a Little Debbie's Star Crunch.
Ooh, good God almighty. Yes.
I thought it was pretty funny with that one. Okay, so riddle me this because I was very confused. Paul says on commentary that Conan's parents met while trying to pickpocket each other. What? Like
yeah, Paul. Let's not go into Piper territory, Paul.
Okay, that's what I was like. Was that his intention, or is there some like joke that I'm unaware of?
Yeah, no, he's just making fun of Mexicans.
Okay, well, the audience isn't 100% into this match, despite them seeing kind of new lucha type moves that aren't typically done in WCW.
Yeah, which is interesting because that's what the WCW undercard would be driven by here just a few years from now, the Mexican wrestlers, including Conan and Rey Mysterio Jr. So that's weird to watch. But Conan and Rey Mysterio win the match in 5 minutes, 29 seconds. Oh, and Gary Michael Capetta, when announcing the winners, says Conan and Rey Mysterioso. So what the hell are we doing here?
I don't know. This poor man. I hope someone paid him extra for how much they jacked up his name. I mean, this is probably the biggest platform he had been on, and they're going to get his name wrong. Real cool.
Yeah. Well, JR tosses things to Missy Hyatt and says he hopes she's not wearing one of those atom bomb dresses with the 50% fallout.
Again?
Yep.
Already used that joke once.
Missy is with the newly renamed Mike Rotunda and his manager, Alexandra York. We're going to get the full breakdown about this later, but just know that they predicted that Mike Rotunda will win tonight's match in less than 8 minutes and 32 seconds.
This whole thing is weird, but okay, we're just going to go ahead and go to the next one, which he's not in. So it's a tag team. It's still the first round. Great Muda. Fun, and Mr. Saito versus Jacko Victory and Rip Morgan. So, obviously, we've seen Great Muda several times, but we have never seen Mr. Saito before, which surprises me because I thought we had.
Yeah, I thought we had, honestly, a while back, but no.
Yeah, that's so weird. Okay, well, let's talk about him. He was born August 7th, 1942, and he died just a few years ago in 2018 at the age of 75. 2018 seemed a few years ago. That was actually 7 years.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
That's so weird. But he was 48 on this pay-per-view. As you said, he was the oldest. And honestly, Homeboy doesn't look 48. He looks pretty good. But the last pay-per-view we will see him wrestle on is WCW Starrcade 1995. So he's got about 5 years left in him. Now, his real name is Masanori Saito. So I'd probably go with Mr. Saito too, especially if I was doing a show in America.
Sometimes he went by Masa Saito. I think that's pretty cool.
Masa. I like that. Masa. That's my favorite dog rescue locally, Masa. But anyway, he competed in freestyle wrestling for Japan in the 1964 Summer Olympics. That's pretty freaking cool. And along with Mr. Fuji, he was a two-time WWF Tag Team Champion and had won the AWA World Championship earlier in 1990. Cool.
Yeah, and that kind of tells you where AWA was at this time. Vince had basically rated their roster. That's where he got Mean Gene, Hulk Hogan, Mr. Perfect, all these guys. So AWA World Champion going somewhere else just wasn't surprising.
Oh, and if it wasn't clear, they're Team Japan.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the next team, who is Jacko Victory, who we last saw on the Chi-Town Rumble in 1989. And he's
Been a
still
while.
just, yeah, and he's still just the little baby at 26 years old. But his tag team partner is Rip Morgan. Now, he was born August 20th, 1957, which is literally just like 18 days after our dad.
Oh,
I just
that's
noticed
weird.
that. But he was 33 on this show, and the last pay-per-view we'll see him on is Wrestle War 91. So we're only going to see him for about a year. His real name is Michael Morgan. I knew a Michael Morgan, went to high school with him, but
I feel like everybody, that's one of those names that like everybody knew a Michael Morgan, you know?
Right. We all know a Will Smith too.
Right.
I always have to clarify when I'm talking about Will Smith to Mark, I'm like the white one, like so he doesn't think I'm talking about the celebrity. But upon coming to the NWA in the 80s, he originally worked as the manager for the guys who would later become known as the Bushwhackers. If you're not watching the video, we're doing the arms. Yeah, we are. Yeah. But upon retirement, he opened his own wrestling promotion in his home country of New Zealand. So I guess you can kind of guess what team they are.
Yes, they are Team New Zealand, but commentary lets us know that Jacko Victory was born in New Jersey, but now resides in Auckland, which is why he's on the New Zealand team. Like, way to make this whole thing seem low rent. Like there's not a single other New Zealand wrestler you could get.
Right. Like at least don't talk about it. Like just let the audience believe. But I do not know, Justin, what Team New Zealand is wearing. It's like these yellow and green outfits and they're like royal princes. They look like they escaped out of medieval times.
Oh gosh. Yeah, they only have the green side cheering for them. You can tell. But that's the thing. Now in every Muta match, I'm just looking for the spot in the match where he loads the mist into his mouth. And of course, this is like the one match where he doesn't use the mist.
Yeah, he's afraid. He had to put out a fire with that thing last time. But yo, I know you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me for this, but I'm still not feeling his dark red and black makeup. It just looks muddy. It needs some highlights because it hides his face. Like, and maybe that's the point, but his makeup reminds me of Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And you're laughing because I'm correct.
I was spew some green mist in your face, Mo.
Oh my God, that was such a good impression. I wasn't expecting that. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Paul Heyman says that he thought the Great Muta could have been the Black Scorpion. And honestly, like, that's not a bad idea. Like, thoughts?
That would have been pretty badass, honestly. That would have been a great choice. Who says he's not? You know, who says he's not?
Well, and that was the thing is because Paul said that, I was like, okay, it's not Great Muta because
right.
He said that.
You know, Mr. Saito, he's just a freaking bulldozer. Like he has a big belly, but it's not like he's fat. He's just built like this tank of just person.
I think that's what happens to guys who are like super athletic all their life. They hit like 45 and up, and all of a sudden it's just this big hard belly.
Yeah, it's like they ate too much all the time.
Right. Well, you know, Justin, this was just a match. I really don't have much to say other than folks on the interwebs, aka Reddit, they think this ending was hokey because Jack Victory's arm was up. Did you catch that?
Yeah. A lot of these are just kind of seeming like, what are we doing?
Don't care. Like, it's like they don't care who wins or like they don't care to make it legitimate because it's a tournament, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. But Great Muta and Mr. Saito, aka Team Japan, they win that match in 5 minutes and 41 seconds. I'm feeling all of the winners so far are very predictable. Like, I knew Mexico was going to win. I knew Japan, and then of course the Steiners. But what do you think of the match?
You know, I always like seeing Muta, of course. I always thought that he was just a really cool guy. Jacko Victory, Rip Morgan, they're fine, you know, but for me, seeing Muta is good enough. And we get to see him again tonight.
And then maybe we'll see him in the main event. Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, they show a slow-mo recap of the ending of the match, and Paul is now doing double duty. So he's on commentary, but then he's like interviewing talent ringside. And I was thinking, how'd you get there? But
Where's Bob Caudle? What happened to Bob Caudle?
or Tony? I was like, where the hell was Tony? It's like he had to jump up from the table because if you noticed on this show, the table was right up next to the ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man. But Team Japan is ringside with Paul, and I'm very confused because Great Muta is staring into the camera and he's got two fingers in his mouth and he's not speaking. Like, ew. I hope he used hand sanitizer or something because that was after a match. And in a post-COVID world, like, this is nasty. Like, I'm very aware of hand germs post-COVID. Are you?
No. In fact, I lick my hand before and after every handshake just to make sure my immunity stays high. That way I never get sick.
That is so nasty. And now I know why my hands smelled weird last time I saw you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, he just kind of looks like a little kid sitting there with his fingers in his mouth. He looks like our nephew. But Saito, thank God he can talk. He says that they're the best and they're not concerned about the other teams. And despite, Muta just sucking on his fingers, they're not concerned. But he says the Steiner brothers are soft. Dang. Ooh. He said that insult like 35 years before it became a thing.
That's like Otis calling Braun Breaker soft.
Right. Well, lastly, he says they're number one. Muta finally takes his fingers out of his mouth, and they leave. And we go to the next match.
Let's go on to the next match. It is the final match of the first round of the tag team tournament. Oh boy, get ready, everybody. Jesus. Call the family into the room because we have an extravaganza here. The team of Danny Johnson and Troy Montour versus Salman Hashimikov and Victor Sangiev.
Bless you.
If this doesn't double our listens, I'm telling you something's wrong.
So this is Team USSR and
Canada, I believe.
Canada, that's correct. Yes.
So let's get to Team Canada. Danny Johnson, everybody knows and loves him. Born January 6, 1954, died July 20th, 2003 at just the age of 49. He's 36 years old on this show. The final pay-per-view we'll see him on, this one. Yeah. Oh. Real name, Daniel Johnson, better known as Bullwhip Johnson or Battleship Johnson. Both his father and brothers were wrestlers as well. And that's about as far as it goes. There's some less than flattering things about him out there about certain addictions and stuff, but we don't want to, make him known for that. So let's get to the other side. Troy Montour, born, I don't know, died. He may have. I don't know. On this pay-per-view, he probably had one. But the last pay-per-view we'll see him wrestle on, this one.
I'm going to Google later Troy Montour obituary and see if he's alive. And if he is dead, I will see his birthday in that obituary.
Thank you. And then we'll record this entire bit right now.
Exactly.
But on the other side of the ring from the Soviet Union, Salman Hashimikov, born May 4th, 1953. He's still alive today at the age of 71, although on this pay-per-view, he's 37. The final pay-per-view we're going to see him on, this one. Yeah. Real name, Salman Hashimikov, just like it sounds, spelled like it sounds too, so spell it out, was a championship freestyle wrestler in Russia, and he retired from wrestling just 4 years after this, after losing to Big Van Vader in Japan. And finally, Victor Zangiev, born May 26, 1962. He is 62 years old today, and on this pay-per-view is 28, and the final pay-per-view we'll see him wrestle on, this one.
This match is so important.
Yeah. Let me tell you. Call the kids. Real name, Victor Zangiev, was also a championship freestyle wrestler in Russia. Here's something kind of cool. For fans of old school video games, he was the inspiration for the character Zangief in the Street Fighter games. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, I never played Street Fighter. I was thinking of Mortal Kombat. They
were like kind of the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So getting to the match here, the guys come out and I'm like, look, a Canadian Native American or a Native Canadian. And I didn't know what to call him. And then I was like, holy crap, it's the Micro Machines guy, Salman. Like if some of the feathers fell out of that headdress, he could steal some of the back hair from the Micro Machines guy.
Oh, God.
Actually, both these Russian guys are rocking the back hair. I guess it's cold in the Soviet Union, so they had to
Oh, God, you're not kidding. Sangiv, he takes off that jacket and, like, number one, he's in this tiny singlet, but he's got all of this, like, black, thick body hair, and he legitimately, brother, and I'm not even kidding, he looks like Borat in the Mankini. Like, that's exactly what he looks like, and I'm like, I wanna put that on our Twitter account, but I'm like, "Is that offensive?" Because I'm not trying to be, he just looks like that, and why is his singlet so small?
I don't know. At first, I thought, and I think I have a note about their singlets later on in the show, which we can skip over because at first I thought they had their singlets on backwards.
Yeah,
because like I
that's what it
remember
looks like.
a few times when Vader had his on backwards, and the fat part was in the back and the skinny part was in the front.
Yep.
No, it's just weird Russian singlets.
Yeah. Definitely. And I felt, I gotta attack your point here. I felt way dumb because I had to
Mhm.
ask Mark if Native Americans exist in Canada because I was like, why is he dressed like that? And he said his sister dated one, but when they
Oh,
dated, he was in America.
so
So
I'm curious then, like what do people in Canada call? Because the other word I've heard is American Indian, but it wouldn't
mhm.
be that either. So
Well,
I don't know. Maybe just
according
native.
according to Mark, it's still Native American because Canada is in North America.
Oh well, yeah, okay,
So,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
and he was trying to remember, like, what tribe that his sister's ex-boyfriend was from, but, yeah, it was a rather, educational conversation. Thanks, wrestling. But
Hmm.
I thought this was weird. So, the USSR, Soviet Union, when they come out, they're looking rather smiley and friendly and waving, and I was expecting, like, not that.
In Soviet Russia, match wrestle you. I don't know.
Well, like Nikolai Volkov and Ivan Koloff and all those guys, they've always come out looking
Yeah,
so like mean and raw, but he's just like doing their princess wave to
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, these guys are like, we were in the Olympics and you weren't. Hello, hello. It's a ugly belly to belly suplex right onto Danny Johnson's stupid head. Like, I think there was a dent in the ring after that.
Yeah. And this match, it just feels so awkward, man. Like, I can't explain it. It was like these two sets of guys didn't meet or speak before the match. They just showed up.
Yeah, in the finish, my
Ugh.
God, this is the most awkward thing I've seen in a long time. So, like, the ref counted two, right? But
Mhm.
then he delayed and then counted three. And then, like, everybody got up real quickly. And then Johnson did like a war dance as they like kind of squared off. And it felt like the finish here got kind of screwed up. I don't know what happened. They seem legitimately like confused and not knowing what to do next.
It's because they didn't talk before the match.
It seems that way. It seems that way. Well, anyway, the Soviet team, they win the match in just 3 minutes, 54 seconds. Got anything else to say about that one?
Nope.
Okay. Tony Schiavone is in the locker room with, I love how we're like hurrying more because we got started so late today. We're like, screw it.
No, it's just because like at this point, these matches, I'm getting more and more sleepy as I'm watching because I'm like, give me
Yeah.
someone I know, please. But
Usually
go
I split
on.
the pay-per-views up between 2 days. I'll watch half and half, but I
Mhm.
had some extra time and just powered through. Oh,
Oh
that was
God,
a long
I
day.
split this one in like 4 different pieces. Like it was killing me.
Well, Tony Schiavone's in the locker room with Sting, who is much more subdued than usual. Probably didn't want his butt to overload his you know what. Speaking about the whole Black Scorpion thing, Sting asks, who would have thought this would happen in the world of professional wrestling? Me, Sting, me. Because it's professional wrestling. It's early 90s WCW. That's why we tune into the show. Anyway, Sting assures us that his head is very clear and he's not running from anything tonight. We then get a flashback to WCW TV from the previous night where Terry Taylor tells Alexandra York, every system has a kink, and maybe you're the kink. And York slaps Taylor freaking hard. And it's about to get physical before Alexandra steps in and says, we're not going to fight. We only do things that make money. Make your own joke here. And that leads us to the next match.
Yes, and I guess yeah, we're taking a break from the tournament here, which I don't know if I liked that. I mean, it was a good little reminder that there are wrestlers we know and whatnot. I just kind of felt out of place, but let's get into it. It was Michael Wall Street, aka Mike Rotunda, but that's his new name, versus Terry Taylor. Now, we last saw Mr. Michael Wall Street as Mike Rotunda on the Great American Bash 1990. And then, of course, Terry Taylor was just on our last show, Halloween Havoc 1990. And they're both in their lower mid 30s. Good for them. But so obviously, like Mike Rotunda, I'm just going to get into it. Mike Rotunda has had a gimmick change where he's now like a rich guy and he has this new manager, Alexander York. And like at this time, she was dating Brian Pillman. However, a few years later, she would marry Dustin Rhodes. And when he went to WWF to become Goldust. So yeah, Dustin, not Dusty. So when he went to WWF to become Goldust, she followed along and gained her greatest fame as his manager, Marlena. Not
How
the
about
one that got possessed by Stefano, not that Marlena, this one. That was a great 90s throwback reference.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you.
you go.
Because it didn't
Days
even
of Our
happen.
Lives.
It didn't even happen in the 90s. I think she got possessed in like the 70s or 80s. But anyway, is that show still on? I'll ask Mom. That's the only show she's ever watched. Back to this. The idea that here is that like Wall Street and York have created the York Foundation, and they use her laptop to tell Michael how to win his matches and exactly how long it'll take.
It's an early form of Rassle Stats, right?
How? Like, because they're predicting.
Well, I predict that. Shut up. Because of the prediction earlier, a countdown clock is in the corner of the screen, counting down from 8 minutes, 32 seconds. If you're going to do a thing like this, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, that's true. I did like the countdown clock, but it kind of stressed me out at the same time.
Well, the longtime St. Louis ring announcer, whose name I unfortunately did not catch, introduces Terry Taylor. However, he almost immediately starts introducing Michael Wall Street before JR even has a chance to show us the stats, before the theme music can change. This ring announcer, he's got somewhere to be.
Apparently, and maybe he's been watching the other matches on the show, and that's why he's just trying to get through this. But a few minutes in, I can say I already like the Michael Wall Street character more than the boat captain. I guess Tugboat took over the boating gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, it's something different, but JR, he can't help himself. He goes into Mike Rotunda's college background. None of that matters now, JR. He's a new guy. Like, talk about his business acumen or his money or his creepy comments to secretaries. I don't know.
I will say, I feel like Terry Taylor had a little extra something when he was the Red Rooster.
Well, yeah, he had that comb on top of his head. The red, yeah, he had a little something extra.
And it was better. You don't think so? Because he's just Terry Taylor now. At least he had a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, he is kind of like basic wrestler guy now.
Basic wrestler guy. He should have named himself that. And then like really like, I don't know. Well, Alexander York looks so much like Mary from Sister Wives. For all of you Sister Wives watchers out there, all two of you. Yeah, I know you'll agree with me.
Thank you. I don't fall into that demographic, unfortunately. She's also typing into what they call a computer, but it looks more like one of those old word processors, or I don't know, like a label maker or something.
It probably was a label maker, because think about it. They were like big and heavy back then. I mean, they weren't like the size of a room in 90, but it was still, I mean, they should have just had her backstage and had her sitting at a desk and like clicking and all that. But,
right. Yeah.
Whatever. But it did remind me of the Dilemma music video with Kelly Rowland and Nelly. Have you seen this or heard about this?
Is this the one where she's typing into her phone?
She's texting Nelly, but it's on Excel on her little like phone, and it's so obvious that she's just typing into like one of the cells, and it's so funny. That's what it reminded me of.
What low budget crap.
But that's the thing, is that was it wasn't low budget, because like Nelly was a big deal and Kelly Rowland was a big deal, and that song was super popular when I was in like 6th grade. And
but why not just get a phone that can text?
I think because think about it, this was when I was like 11, so like 2001. Texting wasn't a huge thing until I was about like 13 or 14. So maybe they thought no one would notice because not a lot of people had texting at that point.
That's true.
It's so goofy. If you haven't seen it, y'all go look at it. But Mike's finisher is called the stock market crash. I
Ah.
think it's so funny and goofy. The stock market crash. That is great. Speaking of stock market crashes, there was one today. I know that because my financial advisor husband. But Michael Wall Street wins the match in 6 minutes and 52 seconds. Did you like the match, brother?
Let's see where it goes. I mean, to be fair, these are two talented guys.
Yeah.
And they weren't gonna screw it up. They got a little bit more time than some other matches on the show. I thought it was a fine match. I really did. The whole computer thing, yes, it's goofy, but they had a good match.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I'm like a double-edged sword here because on one end, I'm like, oh, thank God we had a match that wasn't in the tournament. But on the other end, I'm like, why did they put this random match here? So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm contradicting myself. But next up, we've got a Wrestle War 91 commercial, and it's a hoot, let me tell ya. So Michael Hayes, he's ditched the pink and gold makeup, and that's not the first makeup change for Michael Hayes we will see tonight. But for now, he is dressed as Uncle Sam, and he says, I want you at Wrestle War 91. And apparently, there's not going to be just a steel cage, but a double steel cage or double reinforced, maybe. I don't know. Something about a double cage. We get a quick peek of Sid saying something while straining majorly. Him and that Dick Bruiser guy, they just need some laxative or something. But the little commercial, it ends with Sting yelling, dismissed, and kind of like Sergeant Slaughter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Back to the arena we go.
Yes, and blink and you'll miss this one. It's a tag team match. Big Cat and the Motor City Madman versus the Skyscrapers. Now, the Skyscrapers, of course, Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious. Last saw them on Halloween Havoc, but Dan Spivey was actually Halloween Havoc 1989 was the last time we saw him in a match. Let's talk about the other two guys. Big Cat, born December 7th, 1964. He's still with us today at the age of 60. On this show, he was 26. And the final time we'll see him in a match on pay-per-view is WWF King of the Ring 1993. Real name Curtis Hughes, better known for his time in the WWF and WCW as Mr. Hughes. I hated Mr. Hughes when I was a kid, but he trained current AEW wrestler A.R. Fox, and he didn't train him to win matches, but he trained him.
That's weird because I would feel like he and A.R. Fox are completely different generations, like completely. How weird. Okay,
yeah.
Continue.
Well, Motor City Madman, his partner, born August 14th, 1958. He's still alive today at the age of 66, but was 32 on this show. The last pay-per-view we're going to see him on, this one.
Oh, hail.
Yeah, real name Michael Eugene Moore, also known as Man Mountain Mike Moore. He actually made his wrestling debut in 1982 and at one time was managed by a young Paul E. Dangerously. How about that? So this is supposedly a one-time reunion of the Skyscrapers because Sid is still in the Horsemen. But as far as I know, this was just out of nowhere from what I could tell. It just made this confusing. Like, I'd almost understand if this was part of the tag team tournament, but it's not.
Yeah, I was wondering about this. I was thinking because I know they had replaced him because he got injured and then he was with the Four Horsemen. So I was sitting there, I'm like, did I miss something on how he ended up back in the Skyscrapers? So thank you for addressing that.
Yeah, well, speaking of Sid, there's a dot matrix banner in the front row that says Sid Vicious rules the world. And I'm telling you, Sid is the bad guy that the crowd loves the most.
Why do you think that is?
He's just a big guy and he was so intense. Like he was scary that he was just so intense. He could just snap at any minute.
Yeah.
But what lame music for the Skyscrapers. Like these two guys, they're huge. They're intimidating. They come out to music that sounds like, hey, check out our Little League highlights. Terrible.
I think there's another match later in the night, and I don't remember if I put it in the notes or if I just read it on Reddit, but they played the wrong song for a certain tag team coming out. And I wonder if this is something like if it was a fluke, because that was a stupid song for this.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing, it was a big mess. The match ends with a double powerbomb to the Motor City Madman. Not a moment too soon. Skyscrapers win the match in 1 minute and 1 second.
It was very quick. I feel like that's like our quickest match yet, but Yo, Sid Vicious, he was definitely the star of this match. And like the squash was supposed to elevate him. Like even
Yeah.
with a double power bomb, this was all about Sid. Like, sorry, Dan. This was Sid.
Yeah, my whole problem here though is you have a tag team tournament going on. Don't do any other tag team matches. Like
Fully agree.
it's just not necessary.
Yep.
Anyway, Paulie dangerously interviews the skyscrapers at ringside. They lift him off his feet, and Dan Spivey says, "Now that we're eye to eye, little man, nobody tells the skyscrapers what to do." And he says that this may not be a one-time reunion after all. And then Sid adds, through his teeth, of course, skyscrapers rule the world. Nah, Sid. Nah, skyscrapers don't. You do. You do, Sid. You do. You do.
I just keep thinking of how you almost hit him with your car.
Yeah, well, that happened too, but he was nice that day.
Oh gosh. Can we go to the next match?
Do it.
Okay, let's do it. We've got the Fabulous Freebirds versus Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich. So
This isn't in the tournament either.
No, like, but at the same time, I'm just happy it's someone I know because I'm a little bit more interested. So obviously on the Fabulous Freebird side, we've got Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes, and they were last on Halloween Havoc 1990, along with their opponents, Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich. And man, oh man, the Fabulous Freebirds, they sure did do a 180.
Oh.
So they went from golden, like in pink girly makeup to having Confederate flags painted on their faces. Like, wow, their makeup.
And this wasn't just like a little flag on their face. Their entire face was painted like a Confederate flag.
Yeah, I was just thinking, wow, their makeup went south really quickly. That was funny. And of course, to match the makeup, we have these pretty like sparkly sequin glittery Confederate flag robes, which is like kind of an oxymoron, right? Like, can you imagine when they went shopping for those? They were like, so I need a cape that's a Confederate flag, but I need it to be sparkly. Like, what the hell?
Jimmy, come here. Come here. I got an idea. Anyway, I feel like every pay-per-view for a while now has been some combination of the Freebirds, the Rock and Roll Express, and the Midnight Express. So like, I dig seeing new tag teams here and there, but like really nobody responds to them the way they respond to those teams. Like they didn't like the dudes with attitudes, you know, or a lot of the other teams that are in this tournament. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, especially on in the earlier days when they kept like trading out members of like Midnight Express and Rock and Roll, I started to get them all really confused. But I will say with Michael Hayes and what's his butt?
Jimmy Garvin.
Jimmy Garvin in the Fabulous Freebirds, at least they're kind of separating themselves, whether it's the pink and gold horrible makeup or the Confederate horrible makeup. Like at least they're distinguishing themselves a little bit.
No, Michael Hayes knew how to be a star. Like, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Robert Gibson, he is on crutches due to that knee surgery, right? But I feel like he's had that injury for forever. And so it kind of makes me think, I guess it changed my mind because normally I'd be like, if a wrestler here in 2025 is injured, I'm like, I still want to see them on TV. But no, I think this changes my mind because I like that they keep injured talent off the air because it gives us a chance to miss them and it gives us a chance to be really excited when they come back.
Yeah, sometimes those things can end up being good for you in the long run.
Right. Well, this is the first match on this card that I actually feel like I'm watching a WCW show. It's the first one that feels kind of cohesive. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, this one felt like, okay, like I can kind of relax and just enjoy. I know these guys are going to put on a good match.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But little Richard Marley was brought into the ring and Tommy Rich put Marley over his knee for a good spanking.
It's kind of hot.
I don't like how you...
Still trying to think about if Becky Lynch might, I don't know.
I don't like your neckbeard voice. It's creepy. I'm gonna tell your wife. I'm gonna be like, ask him for his neckbeard voice. She'll not want to share a bed with you.
How do you think I got her?
Ew. No, I know her. She has higher standards than that. At one point, JR said, "He who hesitates gets backdropped." And Paulie dangerously, he said, Thank you, Confucius. Oh my God, that made me laugh so loud. Like, I'm going to start incorporating that into my life when people say like stupid cliche phrases. Be like, thank you, Confucius.
So this is like a different Paul Heyman than we see today. Very smart ass, very brash, very just like an annoying little prick, you know?
Yeah. And like, I kind of want him to separate from Roman Reigns and then go back to this Paul Heyman with CM Punk.
Right. Right.
Kinda
Well, the
wanna see
match
it.
ends when Jimmy Garvin, mad at Richard Marley, their manager, starts choking Richard Marley. Ricky Morton rolls Garvin up for the 1-2-3.
Yes, he does. And Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich, they win that in 6 minutes and 13 seconds, which I was surprised. Were you?
Yeah, that one went pretty quick, but they got so many matches on the show. I think there's 14 matches on this show, so I get it, but whew.
Oh, I just meant by who won. I was surprised.
Oh, by who won?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I could have called a favorite in this one at this point. Maybe if it was for a title, but just a straight match, it's 50-50 to me.
Right. Well, after the match, the Fabulous Freebirds corner Robert Gibson on the ramp and they double clothesline him. And that's like rather rude considering he's on crutches. But wait, so is he actually injured or not? Or was it just like 1990 and they didn't have injury protocol?
Mm-hmm.
Because like if he's on crutches and he had knee surgery, he probably shouldn't take a bump by being clotheslined, right?
Yeah, but like these are guys who like they'd get a concussion and be like, "I just shake it off. We got another match." You know, it was just different back then.
That's true. Well, Tony Schiavone is with Stan Hansen, and oh my God, his tobacco spit all over his face grosses me the hell out. Ugh. Ugh. Well, he says that they, quote, quote, have pushed him into all different kinds of matches, and he holds up his rope and he says it can control a 600-pound steer, so it's good enough for Lex Luger. And I'm like, did he just compliment his opponent? Like he compared Lex to a 600-pound steer. Like
I would be amazed if that dinky little rope could pull a 600-pound spear. Like that was like an extension cord.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Stan Hansen's never even seen a steer or been near one. He's seen one when he's driving down the road.
Yeah. And he sticks his head out and goes moo, like the cow's going to be saying, "Oh, there's a cow driving that car. Check that out."
Boo. I still kind of moo, but no, there's a better game. You stick your head out the window and you yell, "Hey, cow!" And whichever one makes eye contact with you first, you get the point.
And what do you do with those points?
You win. You collect them.
What do you win?
Whatever you decide, your car decides is the prize. The people in your car.
I was hoping a hamburger.
You get a bag of Skittles at the next gas station. That's what you get. Well, Mr. Stan, he talks about the rules of the upcoming Texas Lariat match, which pretty identical to a strap match, just like him.
Mm-hmm.
But he says he has to take Lex Luger to all 4 ring posts. So yeah, strap match. But he complains that they made him take off the cowbell, like off of his rope because it was too violent. And so I'm like, who is they? You keep referencing this they, but anyway, no more cowbell. That's the thing, right? More cowbell.
Yeah, it was like a thing like 20 years ago when people still pretended that Saturday Night Live was funny. Anyway, let's go to the tag team tournament. It's a semifinal match. Conan and Rey Mysterio versus the Steiner brothers. The Chiron still says Rey Mysteric.
Oh, it's killing me. They didn't have that man. But Conan is limping pretty bad in this entrance. And they talked about them getting injured after their last match. They said both of them did. But at this point, the limp is so noticeable that I don't know if it's a work or not. And I'm like, I don't know 90s wrestling culture, like, or wrestling injury culture. Like, help me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember which one of them it was. Like at the end of their last match, went over the top and looked like they landed on those hard wooden stairs.
So that was Rey Mysteric.
Okay.
I think. So, yeah.
But I don't know with Conan, but you know, that fast style, I mean, a lot of guys get hurt more often because of it.
Right.
So it could be. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you're telling me that the Steiners, who are the United States Tag Team Champions, who are from the U.S., who were the only team in the tournament who work for WCW, who were in the first match, giving them plenty of time until this one, are now in the first match of the second round, giving them as much time as possible until the next match in the tournament. Should they win here? Okay.
It's home field advantage. I'm gonna go with that. I did think it was weird that Rick shook their hands before the match, like probably because they knew they were going to win. But I was like, "Who are you? Like you're supposed to be Dogface."
But he licked his hand before and after, like me, like to keep his immunity.
Oh, so no, he was trying to infect them with American germs.
Yeah, dog germs at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually impressed with Conan's technical skills here. You know, like most Mexican wrestlers are expected to just do like flippy stuff.
Right.
But Conan and the Steiners are actually wrestling, and it was good.
Yeah, it was really good. I agree.
This was pretty quick. The Steiners hit a top rope bulldog onto Conan, and JR says, "Oh, Conan must think he got some bad tequila." Like, all right. Okay, we're going back into Piper territory. Take it easy. But, the Steiner brothers, they win a very quick match, 2 minutes, 51 seconds. What'd you think?
Well, this could be my speculating, but I feel like this could have been longer and would have been longer, but I'm wondering if Conan's injury limited them. Like, am I just being gullible and falling for this injury? Because I would think Team Mexico and Team USA would be longer than 2 minutes and 51 seconds.
Yeah, no, I mean, it very well could be. I don't think you're gullible at all. Without more information, more research, more talking to Conan, who knows? I wouldn't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird, kind of rushed.
Well, Tony Schiavone is with Arn Anderson and Barry Windham. Both of them are wearing backwards caps and t-shirts, which is a vast improvement over Arn's outfit from the last pay-per-view with the t-shirt and the giant glasses, the WCW crew t-shirt and his trunks. But the video cuts to a flashback of Ric Flair in the back of a limo being dragged out by some guys in camouflage while Teddy Long laughs and is like, "Give me the camera, player."
Hold up. Ric Flair got attacked in a limo. So did he bust through the glass moonroof and make a guy go dookie?
I don't really know what this was. I took it to mean that Doom kidnapped him and beat him up.
I was confused
don't really
too.
know.
I was like, what is going on?
But that's apparently why Flair has pulled out of the World Tag Team Street Fight later tonight against Doom. And Arn reminds us that anything goes tonight, and Barry Windham laughs really hard. So onward.
All right, let's hit up our next semifinal match. Great Muta and Mr. Saito, Team Japan versus Salman Hashimedakov. Bless me. And Victor Zangaev. That's how I wanted to pronounce it the whole time. Zangaev. But it's Zangief, right?
Well, we talked about the singlets earlier. I just had a thought, though. They might have gotten these from the same place Demolition gets their gear.
Whoa.
You know,
very true.
Yeah.
True.
Great Muta didn't redo his face paint between matches, which is good. Like he should look like he's been in a fight. It's not like Warrior on Survivor Series when he had perfect face paint in the second match.
It's because they didn't have Vince at WCW.
That's true. That's true. Also, how is the guy in face paint the best looking guy in this match?
Well, he knows he's good looking. That's why he was sucking his fingers and looking into the camera seductively. I don't think the audience cared then about this match, and I don't think the audience in 2025 cares either. Like, sorry. Like, no one cared about this match, and like, I don't know if I've ever seen such a silent crowd. Like, it was almost eerie.
The only one that they would have had any reason to care about is Great Muta, and he's put here as a tag team guy. You're not going to see his best stuff, you know.
No.
It's tons of suplexes and technical wrestling moves in this match, and it all ends with, of course, another suplex, and Team Japan wins the match. So you want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it. And like, just to reiterate my point earlier, like the Team Mexico, Team USA match was shorter than this one. So like that reiterates that I feel like Conan was injured. But anyway, Tony Schiavone is with Doom and Teddy Long, and Teddy's gone from the do-rag to this red sweatband. And I'm like, okay, I did it. You can see his little bald head on top. And Teddy says Ric Flair learned one thing in that limousine, and that's, homie, don't play that.
What is happening? What is the homie don't play? Well, come on.
I don't know, but when he yells random phrases like that, I think of the weatherman and Family Guy. It's all right.
Thank you, Teddy.
Yeah, so then Teddy Long, he says that he has 2 hits out on Anderson and Windham. And I'm like, what? Like, Like murder for hire hits? Is that what
this
you mean?
took a turn. What was that?
Yeah. Well, Ron Simmons says that people always predicted them to be losers, but the tag belts, that proves them to be winners. And Butch claims that he not only specializes in street fights, but he created them. What? Okay. He was born in the streets, he lives in the streets, and he fights in the streets. And like, don't know why, but this is giving me Jenny from the Block vibes. So I'm like, you're obviously signed with a wrestling company. You don't live in the streets. Come on
Yeah.
now. But Teddy ends it. Teddy, I don't know what you were on tonight. Teddy ends it by calling out the Four Horsemen and saying, I've fallen, but I can't get up. How about that? What?
It's like he's trying to throw in every popular reference at the time, and none of them make sense the way he's using them.
And I'm like, are you doing that to be funny? Like, do you know what you're doing?
Coming up, he's going to say, "Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it, player."
Exactly. Well,
Let's go to a bull rope match for the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship. Our champion Stan Hansen versus Lex Luger, the total package. Last saw these guys on Halloween Havoc 1990 because they faced each other on Halloween Havoc 1990, where Stan Hansen beat Lex Luger for this championship. So for this match, like we said earlier, both guys are attached at the wrist by a rope. The first man to touch all four corners consecutively without interruption wins the match.
Thank God. I finally know both parties in a match, and there's actually a glimpse of a storyline. I'm so excited.
Yeah, there's something here. Now, upon Luger's entrance, a picture of him lowers down over the entrance, and it's weird. It looks like it's made out of like shiny oatmeal.
Shiny Oatmeal is the name of my first high school band.
Oh, God.
Bam.
Shit.
But also,
Right.
What? Shiny Oatmeal? What are you talking about?
Did you see the picture?
I did see the picture.
It's like shiny and like lumpy and that weird beige color that kind of looks like it shouldn't go down. It should come back up. I don't know.
What flavor was he? No, I'm just kidding.
Hot peach. Come on.
Hot peach. Yeah, by the way, when Justin was a child, he called oatmeal hot peach. He'd be like, I want hot peach.
Yeah, because I was adorable. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Lex
I guess
Luger-
I missed that part. I came along and hey, there's a dog behind you.
Hey, how about that? I hope it's mine. Lex Luger mullet status update. Quite short up top, quite long in the back, dry as a bone, minimal fluff. This has been your Lex Luger mullet status update.
We need that in Wrestle Stats. Mullet stats.
Like I need more to do on Wrestle Stats.
You have to add dating and mullet. There we go.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I don't know if you caught this one. Did you notice that lariat was misspelled in the stats graphic for Hansen?
I did not.
It was spelled with an E at the end.
Lariat.
Yes, exactly. And I hate it. Like, at least back then, they didn't have spell check, which that's still not okay because you and I are grammar freaks and we do not accept misspelling. But now, when someone misspells something, I'm like, you have no excuse. You can Google that. You have spell check. No.
That's true. And people who type in all lowercase too. Screw
Or
them.
all caps. I hate all caps
That's
more.
true.
It's so hard to
That's
read.
true.
Yeah.
Well, Stan the nasty ass Hansen blows tobacco spit to both sides of the crowd. Like, imagine when Triple H does his water spray. He does that to both sides of the ramp with his tobacco spit. It's just so gross. Like, if that got on me, I literally would probably just leave.
I probably would too, but I just hope they had some mosquito bites for it to land on.
Oh,
thanks,
geez.
Dad. I can't remember if we already talked about that, but our dad would put his nasty tobacco spit on our mosquito bites. Yeah, we have talked about it because I said I don't think it made them stop itching. I think it made us not want to touch them, so we stopped scratching.
That could be it. But as always, Lex starts hot. Lots of do. But I've noticed another one. Okay. What? When he's doing a big power move, like running in for a clothesline or something, he does another sound that's like, what?
You're right. Yeah. But and I know you didn't spell that out on our notes because how do you spell that?
But very, very quickly into the match, the tobacco streaks on Hansen's chest and belly are gone, and they had to go somewhere. Poor Lex.
It is so gross. I don't know if
it
the
really
rest of,
is.
I don't know if the rest of the world finds this as gross, but maybe because our dad dipped, we know it's gross. It stinks. It's gross. There's little particles in it. Yuck.
Yeah.
But referring to Stan, at one point, Paul says he gets in fights in bars. He gets in fights with his whores. And I was like, what? And I actually hit rewind. So I was actually paying attention to the subtitles. Horse. He gets in fights with his horse. Got it. But then I'm like, why is he fighting his horse?
Oh my God, you're a horse.
Oh my God, you a broom? Family Guy? We're talking a lot of Family Guy today.
I know. Well, Stan wraps the rope around Luger's neck and hangs him over the top rope. Lex went from being orange to being orange.
He was a slightly pinker orange, sunset orange.
Maybe so. Burnt sienna, maybe. But WCW cheap ass moment here. The match goes to the outside near the ring stairs, which we've talked about. They're those wooden ring stairs that we don't see a whole lot anymore. But you can see where the blue ring stairs have been scratched or chipped in several places in the past, and they used an entirely different color of blue spray paint to cover it up.
It gives it character, Justin. You know what? I'm going to talk about it because I was like, I'll just tell him after, but no, I'm going to do it now. You know that big red sculpture downtown Midland that everyone knows as that building? Well, a different company purchased the building recently and they painted it green. And I'm like, that is so wrong because this company, their color is green. But I'm like, that was an art piece. Like, did you check with the artist first? So they painted this green. However, I am on the third floor and I can see it. And they just painted this thing like 4 months ago and it's already chipping and the red is coming out. And I'm like, good, because that's what it should be. But now they have gone in and spray painted over the red in a different green. And so I thought about this moment because these are just little stairs on a wrestling show. This is a big sculpture that everyone in town knows. And it's like this darker green splotch covering up on the rest of the green. It's terrible. It's terrible. But that's what it made me think of.
That is ridiculous. And
I'll take a picture of it.
So on point in an odd way.
Yes.
But finally, Lex has touched 3 corners. This gets pretty exciting, I think. He touches 3 corners. He dives for the final one, but he knocks down the referee, Pee Wee Anderson, in the process. So senior referee Nick Patrick runs down not to declare Lex the winner, but to continue the match. Mm-hmm. But hold up. If Nick Patrick was watching backstage and saw that the referee had gone down, he also would have seen that Lex touched all 4 corners. So why continue the match?
I mean, maybe he was at Craft Services getting some food and someone was like, quick, go. That's the only explanation there is.
Good God. Well, Hanson then touches all 4 corners and Nick Patrick declares him the winner and the crowd's booing and they're upset. But then suddenly the original ref pops up and declares Lex the winner. And Nick Patrick, being the senior referee with the ability to overrule everybody, says, okay, and leaves.
Well, WCW at this point, they're really into the whole like faking the audience out on who won the match type of thing. And like they've been, I guess, creative enough so far, but I think they need to give that whole thing a break for a decade or two.
Yeah, this was kind of stupid when you get into the logic of it, which maybe we're not supposed to do. But Lex Luger wins the match and the United States Championship in 10 minutes and 13 seconds. Did you like that one?
Yeah, I was just so grossed out by the tobacco spit. I can't even pay attention, but I knew Lex was winning this. I was shocked when he lost it. I knew he was winning this, but I was glad to see people I know again. So yeah, do you like it?
Yeah, well, you know what? Sure. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't awful. Those touch the 4 corners things. I'm like, how about we just pin each other?
I agree.
Is that too much? Anyway, after a quick, sweaty, spitty interview with the new U.S. champion, Lex Luger, he was the one that was being sweaty and spitty. I got to go eat.
We're so tired.
I know. JR, go to the next match. Just go.
Yep. Okay. So we've got the street fight for the NWA World Tag Team Championship. So again, we're going for a tag belt, but not the tournament one. Like, no, we're not doing this trophy thing. So it is Doom, who are our champions, versus the 4 Horsemen. So obviously we saw Butch Reed and Ron Simmons on Halloween Havoc last, and Arn Anderson and now Barry Windham, because we don't have Ric Flair, which is Barry even one of the 4 Horsemen?
Yeah, he is.
Was?
It's Arn, Rick, Barry, and Sid.
Okay. So we last saw Barry Windham on the Great American Bash 1990, but let's get right into it.
Yeah, so the Horseman's music here is the closest thing I've heard to a knockoff version of a song being the same as the original version. So this
Yeah.
was supposedly a knockoff version of LaGrange by ZZ Top. And by knockoff, I basically mean the karaoke version.
100%. I actually Googled to see if they bought the rights to this song when I heard it because I was like, oh, dang, Four Horsemen got ZZ Top. No, like it was just, I don't
It
even want to
was
call it a ripoff. It was just the song.
yeah. It was crazy. Meanwhile, Doom gets their own shiny oatmeal pictures over the stage during their entrance, so that's fun.
I still don't get it.
Just go
Oatmeal?
back and watch. It looks like shiny, lumpy oatmeal. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Everybody is in t-shirt and jeans here because it's a street fight, but Doom is in belly shirts because nothing spells doom like a guy in a belly shirt.
It was a thing in a lot of like my late 80s. It was more of the late 80s, like horror movies. All of the athletes wore those, but I
It's
don't know.
weird.
Maybe they're just behind on the times. But these are some big mofos, all of them. Like it kind of feels like this is a meat match before meat matches were a thing. That or back then, all wrestlers were just giant. Because we've got wrestlers. They were saying a guy on Dynamite last night was 5'6". Of course, he was like a jabroni talent, a quote jobber, but I don't feel like we saw 5'6" wrestlers back then. So I
No,
don't
no, there
know.
was a lot of gatekeeping in the business
Hmm.
to only be like big guys who you would notice in an airport, and
Right. So seeing these four big mofos was just kind of normal back then.
right. Well, they go to the stats for Doom, and the picture is just Teddy Long. Like they must have been cutting their belly shirts or something. Because Teddy's like, "I'll take the picture, player." But Barry Windham still has short hair from when he was the fake Sting at Halloween Havoc. Can you imagine if he had cut his long hair just for that dreadful crap? Like, poor guy.
He must have gotten paid extra. You know how Brutus Beefcake, like someone used to get paid? Like, who was it? The
Yeah,
graduate? Oh, God, I had forgotten
the
about him.
genius.
The genius. There we go. Not the graduate.
The
I thought I had
graduate.
it.
He's not Dustin Hoffman.
He was wearing the graduation gear every time. My bad. Well, he did keep the platinum blonde.
Yeah.
Maybe he was hoping to reprise his role as Sting because platinum blonde is hard to keep up. I had it once.
He could go back to his hometown and be Sweetwater Sting.
Sweetwater Sting, and they'd be so excited for that.
Yeah,
Honestly.
they'd be like, I think it's the real one, Ma. But, the match goes out into the aisleway, and you had to have seen this guy. How could you not? There's a guy standing on the ramp very close to the action. The camera's like behind him, and I'm thinking, who is that guy? And then Paulie dangerously asks, who is that guy? Turns out it's a medical attendant. Like he wasn't supposed to be standing there. I was really hoping it was the gobbledygooker and he just like switched companies all of a sudden, but it was just some doctor.
Lord, it technically could have been the gobbledygooker without his turkey outfit, chicken outfit,
That's
whatever
true.
that thing was.
That's true.
I love how Paul has no filter. Like he just says whatever the hell he's thinking.
Yeah, like even the stuff we're supposed to ignore is like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
But Arn is using the leather belt on Butch. Hey, maybe whipping a black guy on the same show where guys were dressed as a Confederate flag is, I don't know, not a good look.
I don't know, but I really think they just didn't have that awareness back then. They didn't even connect the two because they didn't even think about that,
Oh, no, it's totally a hindsight criticism.
Oh,
Completely.
yeah, totally.
But Butch Reed gets a chair shot to the head on the outside. He falls down and must have been humid in there because he starts furiously scratching that mosquito bite on his forehead until it happens to bleed. How about that? And then pretty soon, all four guys are bleeding. So there must have been some standing water in there or something. A lot of scratching going on.
Good thing they have Stan Hansen around to help with that itching.
Ooh.
Oh, a callback.
Oh, I don't know what's worse, the actual sound or your version of the sound.
My version's fantastic. You know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so like the ending was a little awkward. I'm just gonna go and say the match ends in a double pin in 7 minutes and 18 seconds. And I think they kind of declare it like no winner. They don't
Yeah.
ever really say who wins, but it was awkward because you could see Barry Windham was hesitating a bit and like kind of
Mhm.
moving in slow motion because he had to get the timing just right. And it's like he
Right.
got to his spot too quick. So he's just kind of like, but I have never seen a double pin before, like in my life. And so I didn't realize that the ref slams down both arms like he's having
Yeah.
a tantrum. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, Sweetwater Sting would have gotten there faster.
Oh, he sure would have. But hey,
Yeah.
these two teams, they keep fighting after the match. And Paulie dangerously, he just like wants to know who won. And JR, he apologizes to the fans for not having a decision. And then Paul says, I deserve an apology too, because I want to know who won the match. And JR responds, well, I do too, stupid. You think I'm just sitting here? Which, of course, irritates Paul. And again, I don't really like this we hate each other dynamic. But I guess to each his own.
Yeah, Paul's like, stupid? Call me that again. Stupid.
I mean, it's silly, but like, I prefer more of a banter rather than we hate each other. I don't know. Maybe I'm just because JR really does sound pissed off. Like, he's very convincing. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this conflict. But anyway, we get the same Wrestle War commercial again, complete with dismissed. And then we go back to the arena because we have so many matches on this dang card.
Oh my God. It is the final match in the tag team tournament. Great Muta and Mr. Saito versus the Steiner brothers. Interesting thing here. The referee here is Tiger Hattori, who was a wrestler. He was a manager and he was a referee in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he continues working in an office role for New Japan to this day. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's neat.
Great Muta blows out the mist during his entrance. So, like, between him and Stan Hansen, they need to provide tarps to the crowd, like they're at a Gallagher show.
I was thinking about Gallagher recently, and he was before my time. So, as a kid, I just thought he was the funny guy who smashed fruit. So, I'm guessing he actually had jokes too, right? And that was just like his finale, or did people just laugh their butts off at him smashing fruit for an hour?
Yeah, no, that was like the finale of his act.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had like a whole stand-up aside from that.
Okay. That makes sense.
A lot of people have heard about this before, but I went to go see Gallagher in Odessa, Texas when I was a teen, but it wasn't Gallagher. It was Gallagher's brother. And Gallagher gave his brother some of his old jokes, said you can do this, but then Gallagher's brother started promoting himself as the Gallagher, and original Gallagher actually sued his brother over it.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
So when you went, were they trying to portray him as the real Gallagher?
It said Gallagher 2, the living sequel.
That's really weird. And like you bought tickets to it thinking you were going to see the real one, but then you got there and it wasn't him?
Well, that's how it was marketed all on, but they never said Gallagher 2 means it's his brother. They just... that was on there, and you said, I guess it's Gallagher. The guy on the poster looks like Gallagher, and in real life, the guy looked just like Gallagher. But and he even did the Sledge-O-Matic at the end. But
that's so weird. Carrot Top was a big Gallagher was his mentor, and at the end of every show, he has an inflatable watermelon that he smashes, and streamers go everywhere. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that was another thing about Gallagher is he was big into prop comedy. He was like one of the first big prop comedians, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
Anyway, how'd we get here? Anyway, so you're telling me that the Steiners, who are the United States Tag Team Champions, who are from the United States, who were the only team in the tournament who worked for WCW, who were in the first match, giving them plenty of time until their match in the second round, who were in the first match of the second round, giving them as much time as possible until the next match in the tournament, are here in the finals? Okay. Anyway, there's a sign in the crowd that says, "You big sissy." I have no idea who is directed towards, but nice job, kid. That's great.
I'm going to bring that insult back. You sissy. But Justin, I'm sorry. I just don't have a lot to say about this match at all. Like, I was apathetic because I knew the result before I even started the show. And I knew it was going to be pretty short. I just don't have much to say.
I mean, I really wanted to see this. If this match was not part of this tournament, I think that they could have put together some really cool stuff considering the two teams. And I'm actually surprised by like how much the crowd is into this. Like, as we've seen, one night tournaments can kind of be a drag, but like they're eating up everything the Steiners do here, either because it's the Steiners or because they're the American team.
Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit of both. Column A and column B.
Yeah. Well, Muta gets crotched on the top rope, and he has the best sell of it I think I've ever seen, because he like gets down off the rope and he like grabs the waistband of his pants and he's like shaking it furiously, like and then he like turns around and he starts rubbing his butt on the middle rope. Fantastic.
It was funny. It reminded me of my dog when he does that little scoot.
Yeah. Well, Muta hit Rick Steiner in the head with the ring bell, so somebody check the ring bell, make sure it's okay.
Well, man, it looked like it hurt. He really had his bell rung. Ayo, what's in?
And the result of the match, what do you know? The Steiner brothers, who work for WCW, who are you don't have to go through it again. They win the tournament in 10 minutes and 52 seconds. How about that?
How about that, Justin? We never knew.
Well, Tony is on the stage with the Steiners, the giant trophy, and WCW head honcho Jim Herd. Oh boy. Jim thanks and congratulates all the wrestlers in tonight's tournament and then calls Rick and Scott the two greatest super heavyweights in the world. Jim, people like Vader are considered super heavyweights, like Earthquake, right? How are you so bad at this? Also, could there be a more boring public speaker than Jim Herd? Like, and I'd like to thank everybody. Like, Jim, move your face. They're going to start throwing dirt on you. Anyway, Steiner shout out the soldiers overseas, and we head to tonight's main event.
Thank God. Okay, we're here, everybody. The steel cage match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship with special referee Dick the Bruiser. It is the Black Scorpion versus our champion, my champion in life, Sting. We've never seen the Black Scorpion wrestle in a match, so we have to talk about him. The last place he wrestled, it's a mystery. The age on this pay-per-view, it's a mystery.
We don't know where he's born, where he's from, anything.
Yeah. And so, let's get into it. So if you'll remember, after Sting defeated Ric Flair for the title, a mysterious man in a black robe and hood began, taunting Sting, claiming to be somebody from Sting's past. And he threatened Sting and he puzzled all of us, but he did magic tricks and who could it be? So this match was set up. And if the Black Scorpion wins, Sting loses his title. But if Sting wins, the Black Scorpion must reveal his true identity.
Boy, I can't wait. The moment that I typed into my notes, why is Dick the Bruiser dressed like Tugboat? Leave it to Paul E. Dangerously, who says, he looks like Popeye the Sailor Man. And then later he says, Dick the Bruiser would like to say hi to his wife, Olive Oil, who's at home making him a lovely spinach salad.
That goes with that whole Paul just says whatever the hell he thinks. But my goodness, whoever he is dressed like, I hope that person has more energy and maybe a little more sense of urgency than Dick Bruiser. Jesus, dude looked like he was walking to his mama's funeral or something. God, coming down that ramp.
John Cena talks about hustle, loyalty, and respect. Well, Dick Bruiser might have had loyalty and respect. He sure as hell didn't have any hustle.
Golly, man. It was like watching molasses down a ramp. It was terrible. But
you remember one of Dad's friends who was from Tennessee or somewhere like that? Back
Forrest?
in the day? I don't remember who it was, but he said, he's going slower than steam off of cow shit on a winter's day.
Honestly, that sounds like something our dad would have said. But all right. Wait a damn minute.
Oh boy, are we doing this? Okay.
We're doing this. I have so much to say in the first 5 seconds into the Black Scorpion's entrance that this gets a paragraph. We normally do bullet points on this podcast, but this gets a paragraph. Not today. This is okay. So Black Scorpion comes out and I'm like, why is this man bigger and bulkier than the hooded figure that I've been seeing? Literally 100 pounds bigger. So then I think, why can I see 80% of this man's face? Why is he not hooded or have full mask coverage? But then, oh Lord, Another black scorpion appears, then another, and then another, and then another. And they are entering in succession in all black. So maybe this is Dick Bruiser's mama's funeral. I don't know.
They all bypassed him. He's like, I'll catch up.
Right. So I'm like, are they all wearing fake noses? Because they all have a really big nose that look like prosthetics. Like, this is so strange. So finally, there's this buff one in a black singlet, and he's really buff, and his face is completely covered. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is the Black Scorpion. But then a UFO all lit up, it descends down from the ceiling. And I mean, it is technically an unidentified flying object because I don't know.
This is an unidentified wrestling angle at this point.
I mean, it looked like kind of like the Epcot ball pattern, but it was flat. Anyway, I'm invested at this point because
It looked like a big ass metal crab rangoon, is what it looked like.
Oh my god, it did, like the origami type stuff. Yes, it totally did. But honestly, I'm invested. I've got this because I've been so dang bored throughout this show. Like, I will take it. And keep in mind, throughout all of this, we have this very mysterious music playing that sounds like it's from a 90s like made for TV kids Halloween movie.
That was the best part of this. Like, I was digging the music for this.
I was too. It was fun. All right. So, y'all, the UFO, it comes down and it lands, and the origami, the crab rangoon, it folds itself up into a ball. So now it's like a mini Epcot ball. And JR says it looks like it's from outer space. But then the Black Scorpion speaks. We don't see him, but we hear him. And he says, "The 4 men you see are only messengers. There is only one true Black Scorpion, and it is I. Ha ha." And honestly, that was terrible impersonation because he sounds like the tiger from the Cave of Wonders in Aladdin.
And as we noted on the Halloween Havoc episode, that is actually the voice of Ole Anderson backstage with the voice changer.
I think it's funny they used a voice changer. Was it really that hard to do that voice? Like, come on now. And it's not like I'm like, oh, that's Ole Anderson. Like, I know that voice. But the UFO reopens and reveals the Black Scorpion in a sparkly silver cape. And I was like, that's not what I expected. But then it zooms in on his masked face, and the sparkle suddenly makes sense because it's so obvious who this guy is once they zoom in. The end.
It was obvious. Who was it? I don't want to know. No spoilers. No spoilers. Thank you for that soliloquy. I think it was quite accurate. I disagree with nothing. Sting gets a shiny oatmeal picture for his entrance. So shiny oatmeal for everybody, guys. Well, he's definitely more serious here on his entrance. He's either very focused, very freaked out, or very sick over the stupidity that is about to happen.
Well, number one, it's not his shiny oatmeal because it was the gold Sting head from when he won the title that looks like gold dust.
It was like oatmeal with Goldschlager.
What? Okay. Yeah. Number two, I think he was pissed off. Like, I could feel it. Like, we're best friends now because we've met, and like, I know him. And so like when he came out all solemn, I was like, yep, definitely Dick Bruiser's mama's funeral. Yep, there's no other explanation. But number three, those stars you talked about at the very beginning of the show, it took me this long to realize those look just like light bright stars. You know what the light bright? Because it's like these white wooden stars with holes in it, and the holes are filled with these lights. It looks like a light bright. That was incredible.
Yeah, and then they had to like get a piece of black construction paper to tell them exactly where to punch them through. It was a whole process, really.
Exactly.
So here's the funny thing. There's not a remote camera on top of the stage. There's literally a camera guy sitting on top of the cage, shooting down with a giant camera into the cage. You can see his feet dangling down into the cage during the match.
Honestly, I wouldn't have been okay with that. I'm not a heights person, and you've got that big, heavy camera kind of throwing you off balance. But I wonder if he felt like he was sitting on top of the bungee maze at Discovery Zone.
Oh,
that's how I would have felt.
And then you go bouncing on down to the bottom and all the spit and piss at the bottom.
Ew. Yes, you're correct.
But, I was thinking here, call me crazy, but the Black Scorpion's mannerisms kind of looked familiar. Like, and the little bit of his face that we can see also looked kind of familiar. And then when he locks in a submission hold, he shows his teeth, and those are some familiar chompers. But no, it couldn't be. That would be silly, and it wouldn't make any sense if it was that guy. Go on. We'll just move on. When there's a pin, I can't tell what the count is. Like between Dick's cruise ship ass and his tiny little slaps on the mat, I don't think we'll even know when the match is over.
You mean his little slaps that are like 10 seconds apart because he's as slow at counting as he is walking?
Yeah, it's like Dick the Bruiser didn't want to get bruised.
His cruise ship ass, that's taking me out.
Well, 7 guys in the crowd are holding the letters individually that are supposed to spell Go Sting, but they're all out of order, the drunk idiot, so it spells Stignog.
Nilbog, that's goblin backwards. If anyone who is listening can tell me what that is from without Googling, we will be friends and I will buy you a present. This match is moving so slowly. Like Dick Bruiser is slow, Sting is slow, Black Scorpion is slow.
What'd you say? What'd you almost say?
Nothing. I don't want to spoil it, but the entire time, like at first I put on this note, wow, this is starting off really slow, but it stays that way the entire match. Why?
Surprisingly slow, and I don't know. Well, finally, Sting unmasks the Black Scorpion, but he's wearing another mask underneath it. What a dirty move. It's almost like he's like the dirtiest player in the game. But no, that's the nickname for somebody else. It couldn't be that guy. You know, that wouldn't make any sense.
Well, WCW definitely stole that bit from Scooby-Doo. Hello.
Right.
Totally.
Right. Well, finally, the Black Scorpion is on the top rope trying to escape the cage, even though there's no escape rule in WCW. Sting bounces into the ropes, and then a solid 2 seconds later, the Black Scorpion goes, oh, and falls onto the ropes. No, it couldn't be the guy I was thinking it was, because that guy wouldn't have such an obvious botch. No.
That was so stupid. Like, he hung out at the top of that cage for a while and like just kind of casually ended up back down on the canvas. Like, it's so stupid.
This really isn't going well. And JR is like, he's trying to sell it, right? He's freaking out over all the chaos. And he must have like really been worried that they were going to go off the air soon, because he literally yells, I don't know how much time we have left. I'd really love to know, though. Nobody's giving him a time cue.
I know, and that will become very apparent in after the match. But shocker, Sting wins the match and retains his championship in 18 minutes and 31 seconds. I'll always be happy about a Sting win. But as Sting starts to unmask, the Black Scorpion. Nothing. Okay. I burped. The other 4 Scorpii run into the ring and attack Sting and Dick. Sting and Dick. That sounds like a 60s like sitcom.
I was thinking that's something you go to the urologist for, a Sting and Dick.
That's funny. So then randomly Z-Man and Ricky Morton come out to help. What? And then the Steiners run out with bolt cutters to like cut the lock off the cage. And then the worst reveal in wrestling history happens. And I really wonder if JR was onto something and that they had like 6 seconds left at this point, and they had to reveal that Black Scorpion. So in the midst of total chaos in the ring, like we didn't stop, nothing. Sting quickly pulls off the mask and Ric Flair is revealed. What? Were you shocked?
No, and no, and no.
But here's the thing, Justin. You wouldn't have known who that was if JR didn't say it immediately after the mask came off, because we never saw Rick's face. We saw the back of his head. Then he quickly like ran out. And that was terrible. Like if that whole storyline happened today, it would be like a slow, dramatic unveiling. Just those two in the ring. That's how it should be. But there's like 20 people in the ring. And it's like they were just hauling ass to get that mask off. And then it was done.
Yeah. Yeah, and just doing it in a crowd full of people, and even if there had been the chaos, there would have been the shot of Ric Flair going, oh no, they can see my face. And this was not that. On top of the fact that it makes zero sense for it to have been Ric Flair this whole time.
It made no sense. None.
Now, I will say this. When the storyline started, they did not have like an end point for it, who it should be. And
well,
so
maybe they should have.
they had an idea. They're like, it could be this guy. Well, he's not signed. Oh, well, it could be this guy. Well, he's going to sign with the WWF. Well, what about this guy? Well, he's injured for a while. And then it just came down to, let's just make it Flair.
Maybe they were hoping for Mean Mark Callis, then he left. So they were just like, here you go, Rick. But
this was
now
terrible.
It's even weirder that the match was so slow, considering we have seen Rick and Sting go, and it's like fast.
I almost wonder if like the mask was messing with Rick too much or what? Because like this was not a Ric Flair match. Like
Absolutely not.
It was sloppy and it was slow and it was boring.
Maybe they both got drunk before because they just didn't want to. I don't know, but it just seemed like they were running out of TV time. But they closed the night out with a very quick "Happy Holidays" from WCW graphic, and they tell us goodnight. Tell me your final thoughts on this, Justin.
Oh boy,
this whole show.
The tag team tournament. The one thing I did like that they did with it was they did it in chunks: the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and then the final, right? Mm-hmm. Broken up by other things with actually established WCW stars. Right. I liked that. But if you're doing a tag team tournament where there's no real prize except a trophy, okay, I automatically care less. The Steiners aren't going to feud with anybody from that tournament, so I care even less. And then, you know, you got the tag team street fight ending in a double pin. That is really lame.
Yep.
And then, of course, the main event. It's just, this ain't Starrcade, man. This was a miss for me. What'd you think?
That's what I was going to say is I always really look forward to Starrcade, and this was my least favorite so far. Yeah. And my favorite wrestler of all time was in the main event, and it was my least favorite.
And Starrcade is what's supposed to be their version of WrestleMania, right? Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a miss.
I watched this again, as I said, in 4 chunks, and I got sleepy every time. Like, this pay-per-view is not for me. I am not a person who likes randoms. I like to know who it is that's wrestling, what they're about. I like to know all of that. This was not for me. Maybe it's for some people. And then the Black Scorpion thing, like, why does Ric Flair do magic now? Like, I have so many questions, and I feel like they're never going to be answered, but that's fine. Let's just move on. Let's just forget this one. What happened after the pay-per-view, Justin?
Yeah, so Tommy Rich, Ricky Morton, and Terry Taylor would all eventually turn heel, joining the York Foundation. How about that? Unfortunately, Sting's championship run would not last much longer past this pay-per-view, as in January, he would lose the title to Ric Flair, making Flair a 7-time champion. Yeah,
why?
That's where we're headed. Now, at that time, when that happened, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship started being referred to as the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And then that was followed by all of the titles in the company having WCW in their name rather than NWA, as WCW would, as we've talked about, withdraw from the NWA in 1991. Michelle, you can tell me better than I can. Should we skip Wrestle Stats this week considering time?
No, let's go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. Let's do the Wrestle Stats. The final appearance in a match on pay-per-view. Never going to see these guys again. Danny Johnson, Motor City Madman, Rey Mysterio, not that one. Salman Hashimikov. Yes, that one. Troy Montour and Victor Zandiev, all of them only on this show, first appearance and last appearance. No real changes for the matches, wins, and losses. For the rematches, that did go up this week. Out of the 313 matches we've watched on Wrestle Recap, 22 of them have been rematches. That's 7.03%. And title matches were down to 31.31%. If you like those Wrestle Stats, check it out at Wrestle Stats on Twitter and Blue Sky for the full breakdowns. Also, you can check it out on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. What about you?
Yes, you can talk to both of us at Wrestle Recap. Send us a message on Twitter, follow us, do whatever. Or if you want to just talk to me, it's at Michelle Tater. I talk about all kinds of things. If you've ever wanted to know what really goes on behind the scenes on Ghost Hunters, ask me. I don't have a filter. I'm like Paul Heyman. But Justin, What are we watching next week?
Well, next week, we're starting a new year, 1991, with the Royal Rumble. Gotta love a Royal Rumble, where the first match on that pay-per-view was voted as the best match on the show, and it wasn't the Rumble match. And there's a WWF Championship match, and it is the final time that the Royal Rumble match will have no prize for winning. Every year after that, the winner will get a shiny oatmeal picture of themselves.
I don't get it. I don't get the oatmeal thing.